I'm 81 years old, and 2 weeks from today, if the doctors are right, I won't be here anymore. They told me gently. That's how they do it when there's nothing left to try. 2 weeks, maybe 3 if I'm stubborn. I've always been stubborn. It doesn't seem to help now. The room they've given me is quiet, too quiet. Machines hum softly like they're trying not to disturb me. My body feels smaller than it used to, like it's already begun stepping away from itself. I spend most of my time staring at the ceiling, thinking about how fast it all went. It's strange what you remember when you're told your life has a deadline. Not the promotions, not the numbers in the bank account, not the awards on the wall. I remember a Saturday afternoon when my son asked me to play catch, and I told him I had paperwork to finish. I was 37. I told him, maybe tomorrow. There are so many tomorrows stacked behind me now. None of them can be opened. When I was young, I believed life was something you built first and lived later. You grind, you sacrifice, you prove yourself. Then, once everything is secure, you relax and enjoy it. That was the plan. I grew up in a small house with thin walls and a father who measured love in provision. He worked himself tired. He rarely smiled. I thought that was what being a man required. So, I copied him. In my 20s, I chased stability like it was oxygen. I said yes to overtime, yes to relocation, yes to every opportunity that promised advancement. I told myself I was doing it for my future family. When I met my wife, she didn't care about my ambition. She liked how I listened. Back then, I did listen. I noticed the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous. I noticed when she needed reassurance. I stopped noticing after a while. Not all at once, just slowly. We had a daughter first. I remember holding her in the hospital room, terrified of how much I loved her. It felt dangerous. Loving something that much felt like a weakness, so I buried myself in work again. Work was predictable. Work rewarded effort. Love required presence. I convinced myself I could give them both. But you can't give full attention to two masters at the same time. Something always gets the leftovers. In my 40s, I was admired. That word meant something to me then. People sought my opinion. I was invited to important dinners. I wore good suits and drove a car that turned heads in parking lots. At home, my wife stopped asking when I'd be back for dinner. She just set a plate aside. My daughter learned how to ride a bike without me. I saw a photo of it later. She was smiling wide, my wife running behind her with one hand hovering near the seat. I was at a conference that day, shaking hands with men whose names I can't remember now. The cost of a life is rarely paid up front. It's taken in small withdrawals, missed conversations, missed softness, missed ordinary Tuesday evenings that don't feel important until there are no more of them. My turning point came too quietly. I was 68 when my wife had her stroke. We were sitting at the kitchen table. She was telling me about the neighbor's new dog. Nothing urgent, nothing dramatic. She paused mid-sentence, blinked, and her coffee cup slipped from her hand. Just like that. At the hospital, the doctor spoke in calm, careful phrases. Words like severe and unlikely and prepare. I held her hand in that sterile room and felt the weight of every late night I had chosen. She couldn't speak clearly after that. Some words came out broken, but one evening, she squeezed my fingers and looked at me with a kind of tired kindness. I don't know if I imagined it, but her eyes seemed to say, "You're here now." I was, and it was too late. She lived another year. I sat by her bed more in that year than I had sat beside her on our couch in the previous 20. I read to her. I told her stories about work she no longer understood. I apologized without saying the word. When she died, the house became a museum of postponed intentions. Trips we never took, conversations we meant to have, quiet mornings we thought would always be available. My daughter visits when she can. She has her own children now. I see myself in the way she hurries sometimes, It scares me, but I don't lecture her. I don't have the authority. I handed that over a long time ago. When the doctors told me I had weeks left, my first thought wasn't fear, it was inventory. How many dinners did I rush through? How many times did I half listen? How many sunsets did I ignore because there would be another tomorrow? I spent my life preparing to live. I was careful, responsible, productive. I thought that was the same as meaningful. It isn't. Meaning hides in the small things you're tempted to postpone. The bedtime story, the slow walk after dinner, the phone call you think you'll make next weekend. I used to believe death would feel dramatic, like something heavy and cinematic. It doesn't. It feels like a narrowing hallway, like doors quietly closing behind you. I can feel my body winding down, even when I try to pretend I can't. The nurses are kind. They speak softly. They adjust my blankets. They see this every day. But this is my only time. I look at my hands and see the spots, the thin skin. These hands built things. Signed contracts, fixed shelves, paid bills. They also failed to hold on long enough. If you're younger than me, you still believe you have time. I believed that too at your age. Time feels endless when you're standing in the middle of it. It isn't. 2 weeks sounds like a long time when you're waiting for something. It's nothing when you're counting backward. I don't want you to hear this as a warning shouted from a hospital bed. I don't have the energy for shouting. I just want you to understand how ordinary regret looks at the end. It doesn't scream. It sits beside you quietly and points to the empty chairs in the room. I don't regret working hard. Providing matters. Responsibility matters. But I regret believing that love could be scheduled for later. I regret thinking my family would always understand. I regret every not now. In a few days, my daughter will sit here and hold my hand. I hope she feels loved. I hope she remembers more good than absence. I can't fix the balance anymore. All I can do is tell the truth while I still have breath to do it. If this reaches you somehow, don't rearrange your entire life because of a dying stranger's words. Just notice the small chances you're given today. Sit a little longer, listen a little closer, put the phone down once in a while. Not because it's wise, not because it's productive, but because one day you may find yourself in a quiet room like this, measuring your life not in achievements, but in moments you were actually there for. I have 2 weeks left, and if I could trade every title I ever held for one more ordinary evening at that kitchen table, listening to my wife talk about the neighbor's dog, I would do it without hesitation. The machines are still humming. The hallway is narrowing. I'm not angry. I'm not even afraid anymore. I'm just aware, finally aware of what mattered. I hope you don't wait as long as I did.